Alright, hey guys, just wanted to share a little bit of what I've done with my Dreamline since I've gotten it. It's the dreampup. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the sling I mounted on here. I had a couple questions about it, and start by showing you guys the sling stud setup I'm using. So I got a Cadwell pick rail adapter on the front here. See if you guys can get that. That's actually mounted with a sling stud here in the center, and it's got a little pin that rolls through the center that into the sling stud, and then it's got like an expandable bracket that pinches against the body of the gun and turns into a pretty solid pick rail mount. And it's also, I don't know if you guys can see it under here, it's got a swivel stud, or a sling stud, sorry, that you can mount your strap to right there. And that's how I mounted my sling to the front. And on the back here, I got a tactical QD mount off Amazon that I'll post a link to, along with the strap, the pick rail, the bipod. This is a knockoff kind of Atlas style bipod. It works really well for air rifle use anyway. It's also pretty lightweight. So anyway, this QD mount, if you guys aren't familiar with this is a quick disconnect mount that actually swivels. I'll pop that in there. So this will actually rotate freely, which makes it really comfortable across your neck, and when you're changing positions with your rifle is really comfortable. The sling I have mounted on here is a Viking Tactics wide pad. It's just a wide pad 2-point quick adjust sling. This is the deluxe model. It's got like a quick adjust pull rope on here, so you can cinch it tight to your body and release it quickly. It's got a nice quick release mechanism here that works really well. If you guys are looking for a sling, I would definitely recommend this. It's the most comfortable sling, and everything on it's really nice. The thing I like the most about it is probably this quick adjust feature. If you guys can see this here, you just pull on this and it pulls your strap tight. You got a strap keeper at the end. If you want to pull it really tight and have it cinched tight to your body to where nothing's touching the ground, see if you guys can see this. My gun's it's not touching the ground while I'm sitting. So you can get a pretty tight carry with this if you want. And then to get back into position here, show you guys the sling can release by just pulling this out, and it slides right out. So, and it's nice and solid. So that's a really nice function for being able to use it for multiple positions if you're prone or whatever. Great shooting aid. So I'm really digging that. One of the other things I've heard some comments about was putting a barrel band on this. I tried a couple of different things. Well, actually I haven't tried I tried using this stuff a couple of different ways. This is just like a camo ace bandage kind of wrap. You can get it like Academy Sports and probably a lot of other places. But this is what I'm using currently, and it's done kind of what I wanted, which is reduce barrel slap, so I don't get any loud clinking walking through the woods anymore. And then the other thing, if you guys can see the gap that starts back here, it pretty much tapered to where the barrel was touching the air cylinder here at the end, even without the moderator on there. With the moderator on there, it was definitely, pretty much always touching. So that was a fair amount of barrel droop that just kind of started bothering me after a while. So I put this on here. This was 2 wraps thickness of this stuff. So I put 2 layers of that, wrapped it underneath this, and that was it. I tried it going 2 wraps underneath the barrel and then wrapping consecutive wraps all the way around the whole thing to pinch this to where it kept that gap and was tight to the barrel. And that did some weird things with accuracy. So I took that off and just left it with the 2 layers of camo wrap underneath the barrel, and that can, as you can see, gives me pretty much a perfect gap between the cylinder. Even if I mount my bigger Ronin on there, I only get about a 1/2 mil POI change from using this. So that's pretty cool. I'm still experimenting with it to see if it's gonna give me the results that I really like. But just to give you guys a size comparison on the new Donnie, get the new FX Donnie. So that's this big. Here is my Ronin. Show you guys side by side there. Substantial difference. This thing you could make probably 4 of these out of the material that's in this. He's since come up with a new end cap design. I drilled these holes in here and was playing around with it because I originally bought this for hats and bull boss and it was clipping, so I had to drill it out and bore it out so it wouldn't clip the inside of the moderator anymore. So other than that, it was just kind of a quick update. I'll show you guys the back of this QD mount again. So what I did, where I mounted this into the back of the gun there, into the stock, is I took a 1/2 inch drill bit, and that was the exact OD of this QD mount, and I drilled it in to about maybe half of its depth. This is about a 1/2 inch long, this little piece here, and I countersunk it till it was about maybe 2/3 embedded into the stock, then screwed it in the rest of the way, or screwed it in the way it was intended to, with a wood screw instead of the machine screw it came with. And that gives me a really solid, when I was actually getting the size depth right for this, I popped it in there once and almost couldn't get it back out just because it gripped it so well. So I think this is a really solid way to mount your sling. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. And that's just basically, you know, your little QD mount. Threads the way any normal strap would. And functions great, super comfortable, really digging it. So that's some of the changes I've made to my Dreamline since I got it, is mounted a sling to it, focus camera, and put this little piece of camo wrap under there for a spacer. So far this is, you know, it's still hole on hole at 50 yards. And it reduced the barrel clink. Also, it gave me an extra 3 mils on my turrets at 50 yards. So this is extra 3 mils basically, because this is a first focal plane scope, so it would have been 3 mils at 100 yards. But yeah, I gained an extra 3 mils on my scope by putting this under here. I don't know if I like the idea of completely clamping the barrel down unless it was maybe back here farther. I do think the barrel needs to flex somewhat due to the harmonic stress of all that energy getting forced out the barrel. I think the shockwave needs to have some type of fluid movement to it. That's why I went with this instead of having this spaced properly and clamped, which literally opened up my group from like one hole to like you could see space in between the holes. So I went back to this and got a nice one hole group again. Also guys, from a sound standpoint, difference in these two moderators, surprisingly there isn't a huge difference unless you're going really super high power. When I was doing some slug tuning, I was using this, and once I got up to maybe the max output of this was about 51.8 foot-pounds, it made a little bit of a difference, but not a whole lot. Oh, something else I'd like to talk about for a brief second while I got you guys. I tried some slugs. I got some Nielsen slugs 34 grains and Nielsen 36 grains. tried to get the most power out of this as I could. Tuned it on my chronograph. I was only able to get the 34s up to about 815 feet per second, and the 36s up to 800 feet per second, which I really don't think is fast enough for a slug to get stable properly. So I wasn't able to get really any good accuracy really at all out of those heavy slugs. I think maybe if I had a lighter slug in the 20 grain area, not necessarily 20 grain, but like 25 to 27 grains, that would be something this gun could push in 25 caliber. I'm hoping that FX starts releasing just some blank barrels, because I'd like to get a 22 600 barrel for this and try some slugs out of that, because I think there's some real promise in the 22 caliber. I think the power that this thing can put out is more suitable to a slug in 22 than in 25. I was only able to get my regulator up to about 149 bar before all of my hammer spring adjustment was taken out of the back via the little Allen key in the slider inside of here. So you can take the stock off and adjust that the same way you'd adjust like the crown or the impact. I set the power wheel to maxed the Allen key out till the slider was completely maxed out forward, kept my transfer port on 25, and started, cranking the reg up, and got to about 100 and just under 150 bar. And once I started going over 150, my velocity started to fall off below, what I was getting, indicating that there wasn't enough hammer force to open the valve at that higher working pressure. So again, I think in 22, 148 bar is probably plenty to get a slug, a lighter, 23 grain slug, hauling the mail. So I think accuracy is possible. I don't think you have to get them going 950 necessarily, but I think you got to get them going at least upper 8s, maybe 9, to get really some good stability, good long range results with a slug. Shooting them at 800, it's such a arched trajectory that there's really not much of a difference, if any, between a pellet, other than the profound amount of energy that arrives once it gets there. That is a huge difference. The Nielsen slugs, according to Strelok, were putting out, I think, like 38 to 40 foot-pounds at 100 and something yards. So that's closer than, that's almost the same power that this thing's shooting Kings at 850 point blank. So there's something to be said about that, but if you can't get it on target, then it's not going to do you any good. So for me, the 25 caliber slugs out of the Dreamline I don't think are a good option. I'm really still intrigued in the 22 if you can get a 22 600 barrel. So FX, if you're listening, please release a 600 barrel, and please start releasing just the pellet probes so that I can swap barrels with my uncle, because that's all I need is a pellet probe. So start selling some pellet probes, please. I'll buy a few. Other than that, I don't think there's really anything else that I had planned on this update video. Just kind of wanted to show you guys some of the stuff I did. I'll get some scope cam footage as soon as I can get my scope cam working better. Using like a Casio Exelum 700, something like that. So it's got the high speed capability, just not happy with the mount apparatus. So looking into getting some different ones. I'll get you guys some scope cam footage, and we'll start shooting some paintballs at like 105 yards, because I just discovered I could do that today. Hit a paintball at 104 yards. So I wish I had gotten on camera. It was perfect. Start doing some stuff like that. I think Rick over at 1721 would have been pretty proud of that shot. So anyway, FX Dreamline, kicking butt. Awesome sling option if you guys are interested in slinging up your guns. I like using a sling, keeps your arms nice and fresh while you're walking through the woods. And this is an extremely, extremely comfortable sling with very smooth adjusters. Alright guys, y'all have a good one. I'm going to do another video on a hand pump that I just modified, that I put a dry pack filter in. And this is the most kick-ass pump I've used yet, so we're gonna do a video on that next. Show you guys how I did that. All right, laters.